where do you see kind of, I guess, the future of asteroid mining then? Because Planetary Resources, I think, if I remember correctly, was kind of the pioneering in it. But as of now, there's more people, or such as like the Japanese Space Agency, they've done the Hayabusa missions, and that one just came back. There's
Yeah,
Osiris
we've got
Rex,
Osiris Rex.
hmm
Yeah.
and all that. So, kind of, how do you see kind of the future of asteroid mining or space mining in general?
Yeah, I don't know if I have a good answer for that. I mean, they're not really doing mining, right? They're doing
Right.
science, which objectively I think is more noble, and you know, it gets a better cause, at least right now, right? We're trying to answer questions that we don't have answers to about the universe, and you know, the nature of how it formed and all of that kind of stuff, which asteroids are great for figuring out. And I think there are a lot of science missions to asteroids that make a lot of sense and that we will continue to do. On the flip side, there is the idea of in situ resource utilization, which is using resources at the place where you are. And so if you're out in space, why would you want to bring everything with you? Because that's expensive and heavy and complicated and all of that stuff. Why do that when you could just use the resources that exist there? And a lot of companies are looking towards in situ resource utilization, like
Hmm.
SpaceX and others, is like on the moon and on Mars, of just using the material that's already there. So from that perspective, I feel like ISRU is has a bright future, right?
Hmm.
They're not doing that for science, which already has a bright future. Well, I don't know about, you know, there's funding and all that kind of stuff, but in terms of like, is there a need for it? Yes, there's a need for science. Is there a need for using material sourced from space in space? Yes, there is a need for that. And right now people are focusing on doing that on the moon and doing that on Mars, and maybe some of the moons of other planets and things like that.
Hmm.
Is there a need for going to an asteroid and using material? Possibly, if you're going to spend a long time there, you know, whatever, if you need to do something, build something around an asteroid, you can use the material from an asteroid for that, just like you would from the moon or Mars. Is there a need to go to an asteroid, collect material, and bring it somewhere else to do something with? Maybe. Um, the from like a raw materials perspective, you know, like platinum group metals and stuff like that, which are relatively rare on Earth, if we get to the point where we can source those from asteroids, that's going to be sort of game changing, right? We can do all sorts of stuff potentially with those types of things. That's really far away. In the meantime, we were talking about taking water and turning it into fuel, and the reason for that was because getting fuel off the surface of the Earth was expensive, but launch prices, especially with like Falcon Heavy and things like that, potentially are dropping, which means that it has to be even cheaper to get fuel from an asteroid and bring it to, you know, wherever you want it, because it's cheaper for us to get it off the surface of the Earth. And when we left that problem, it wasn't very profitable to bring fuel or water or hydrogen and oxygen or whatever back to low Earth orbit. Like that doesn't make sense. Financially, it's much easier just to launch it from the surface of the Earth. And so then you say, well, what about like a Lagrange point in deeper space for deeper space missions? And that's when it starts to make financially a little bit more sense even now. But you need to have customers. You know, there needs to be, there's quite a few launches to low Earth orbit, and there's a lot of activity in low Earth orbit, but those aren't the customers now if you can get things to them cheaper from the surface of the Earth. So now you say, okay, well, now we want to get fuel and other materials to spacecraft that are operating further out. And the number of spacecraft that are doing that is really small right now.
Hmm.
And maybe it gets bigger in the future. Probably, everything tends to be, but when and how much need is there going to be, and what is it going to justify spending up billions upon billions of dollars to source all of this stuff from asteroids? I don't know. I'm not an expert in any of this stuff, and I don't really study it that much. You know, I'm a GNC guy, but that's sort of my take on it, which is,
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, you can come up with a need for asteroid mining for sure. Um, Does it make financial sense? Not yet. How long will it be until it makes financial sense? Don't know, because it's hard to predict the future of like what we're going to want and need, dozens of years from now.